Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Goblin Ringleader podcast. I'm your host, Jack, and today we're going to be going over a match that I played actually in Legacy at the BoarsHatGaming. Let's kick it off. There are proxies in this game. I apologize, but I wanted to try it out. So I went basic Mountain Pass. My opponent leads with a Misty Rainforest. I play an Ancient Tomb, pay 2 life, and play a Matron Tutors. I have everything. He goes, "You have Matron tutored?" And yes, that's proxied. You have Matron proxied, and yeah, I just didn't have. I showed up really late for this event, and but the deck I was playtesting didn't have the Matrons in it, so tutoring for, and the proxies are horrible too. I'm so sorry, but that's what the proxies look like at home for me. I don't print out the actual pictures because I don't play the formats that I proxy very much. Tutor for a lackey. Lackey's my Mind Goblin in this matchup. I was going to play 4 Mind Goblin, but I decided to play lackeys instead. The advantage to disadvantage is Lackey plays around for counter magic very well if it resolves early. But which Mind Goblin's very susceptible to counter magic. But then it also it draws removal. But I think Lackey is just a better card overall. It's less all in, and you're able to just apply pressure. Also, I know how to play Goblins with Lackey. I'm totally fine and comfortable with going turn 1 Lackey, turn 2, Sting Scourger, bounce your blocker, attack, deal a damage, throw a Muxus in play, and then we don't win on turn 2, but we have an amazing board state going into turn 3 and maybe tutor a couple times, hit a couple Ringleaders. And so, right now, my opponent's fetched to 18, beautiful duel. And yeah, I'm trying to play more Legacy, trying to play more formats. Formats in general just make you better. The more decks that you play against, the more experience you have in play patterns, and just slowly gaining experiences. I'm a grinder. I like to see the slow progression over time. So then I attack first, and then second main, play the lackey. We're trying to play around days here. We have double lackey because I believe he has one solitude in hand, and I'm trying to play around that because I really want this Muxus to get through. He's thinking about what he wants to do. It looks like he has to read lackey. It's been a while since people played lackey. It's a card. Lackey is a card. I enjoy it. 1-mana 1/1s are good. So he's forced to force the lackey, no pun intended. Pitching a dress down, untaps and draws. Land. Sometimes in these control decks, it's really difficult because you have to figure out, what angles you're okay with. You're okay with your opponent attacking on. So like he's okay with me hitting him for 2, but he's not okay with the value that's generated from the damage. So the priority level of the threat goes from, oh, it's just 2 damage, to there's other things stapled onto this. I need to panic and create answers. So I attack with both. Leyline Binding the lackey. Hit him for 1, second main, play land. Now we have 6 mana. We just have 6 mana. So we go Pashlake Mons, because we're trying to grind him out. Random goblins are good. When he dies or another goblin dies, deals damage to any target, and you can pay 4 mana to sack a goblin to make 2 goblins. Now, digging for some action. Sets up a terminus for next turn, it looks like. So his natural draw for next turn will be a terminus. And he plays a land. So I see him do that. So subconsciously, even if it's not something that I'm obviously thinking about, I'm believing that I'm going to get board wiped next turn, because he doesn't cast a removal spell. He just chills and takes the damage. So right now I'm just playing the super long game. I'm just like, you know what? We can play super late. We can do nothing. We can just put a lord on the battlefield, try to grind it out later, leave up 2 mana, play around double days, and pass. He terminuses. Terminus is good. I forget that Terminus puts him on the bottom like an idiot, but you know what? We don't play against Terminus that often. Miracles is a good deck, but you don't see Terminus that often. Land for turn. 4th Aerolingus, and I have to ask what it does because I've never seen this card played before. 2 is good. And then he's going to be able to become the Monarch. So, boom. I go from 18 to 14. Draws a card at the end step. And, yeah, I have sandbagged this Muxus, so now I can play around days because we drew the land. And trigger resolves. We get a chieftain, a war chief, and the other ones are not goblins. So this is 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12. Because the Muxus is 5, and it gets an additional 2, it's 7. The war chief has a buff from the chieftain, which is 3, and then the original the war chief itself is another 2, it's 10. It's 12. 7 plus 3 plus 2 is 12. Opponent leads it off. I'm going to run it back. Another Surveil Land turn 1. Surveil Lands are really good. Really, really good. They've been overperforming, definitely. I definitely need to that's something that I need to look into getting for Goblins. I ran into a player who, shout out to Hunter. I don't know if you're going to hear this, Hunter, but shout out to you for helping me conceptualize a better way of playing Goblins. And like just being like listening to you made me be like it shook up the way that I was looking at the deck, and it helped me be less rigid with it. So I really appreciate you giving me all the insight. He's the Elder Goblin Hunter. Check him out. I don't know if he has any socials or anything, but he gave me the Discord, and if you're hearing this, Hunter, I really appreciate you. Also, I saw you in the NRG, doing super well. So shout out to Hunter, and shout out to NRG Series. We just played the 10K. Back to this match. My opponent is surveilling and then brainstorms. Surveilled a beans to the bin, so I was digging for the lands. I go basic mountain into Ancient Tomb into Mog War Marshal. Apply the pressure. The opponent doesn't understand the power of Mog War Marshal. Untap, upkeep, draw. Thinking about whether or not he can cast a cantrip, or if he should just make sure that he can cast the bat. The bat is really good here. Just passes. Does not try to make sure that he hits his land drop, which is fine. His hand's very gas. His hand's able to do anything that he wants to. Sacks, get a guy, and draw. Get the land off the top. Land real good here. This allows us to play around days. Cast a matron, I believe. No, it's a Horde Master. So this is going to give everything +1/+1, and whenever it or another goblin I control dies, exile a top card. He's like, this should also not be proxied, and I'm like, I know I got here late. I didn't have time to swap him over. Attack for 2. He's gonna exile the Lord, so he just takes 1. I gain 1. Cantrips, looking for the land. Shuffles. So shuffles and draws. Misses the land again. Super rough draws. I draw another basic. This allows me to go. I believe I go. War Chief is very good here. Just pushing an aggressive game plan is where you want to be. So he passes, untaps up, he draw. Casting Crater Maker. And I specifically say this card doesn't matter. It's just a 2/2 that's just gonna shoot a creature, but it won't matter here. It's just a 2/2. And then I go to combat, and I declare my attacks. He's forced to flash in a bat, and I go, you declare blocks. I'm gonna shoot it for 2. I guess it did matter. Crazy. And I didn't even see that. I was just joking, and I was saying this will not matter, and it did. That bat turns off Muxus, so it was a very good Crater Maker. Sometimes shock is just good enough. Brainstorms. So this is the kind of game plan. This is the kind of game where I'm trying to like sandbag my Muxuses, just go as slow as possible, force my opponent to lose some life slowly, and then eventually I can grind them out. So we're just trying to cast like 2 spells a turn, be as aggressive as possible, show my opponent as many bodies as possible, get a matron. Matron's probably going to grab a lackey here. Ringleader is good too. So opponent brainstormed, cast the Terminus. Oh, new sleeves. And this is why we don't overextend, because we want a situation like this where our opponent has to use their removal, their sweeper, and then because all of our stuff is haste, usually all of our stuff is haste and generates value when it enters, we just have to run through our opponent's counter spells. And so Ringleader does a really good job at that. Land allows me to play around days for Muxus. Boom. 5 goblins, chain ruler, lackey, Mog War Marshal, Horde Master, Matron is what that looks like. I'm realizing that I don't play a Skirk Prospector. So I just get another Ringleader. I get a Mogwai Marshal trigger and a Chainwheeler trigger. Leyline Binding's my Muxus. He has to hope for Supreme Verdict, which I believe he does play Supreme Verdict. Uro's good. Uro gains some life. Go back up to 10. And passes it back. Untap, upkeep, draw. Play a basic. We're debating whether or not we want to play another Muxus here, but we decided it's just too greedy and just go for damage. So this is, I'm counting. So the 1s, 2s, 4s. So 4, yeah. So Solitude the Lord. This is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3. So he Solitude the Lord. I gained life. Seeing if there's anything that he can do, anything he can use in his graveyard, mapping out an Uro and how much life that will gain him. And for my lackey, I believe I elected not to put a Goblin into play, which might be loose, but I feel like it's, I think it's a May. I hope it's a May. But yeah, I elected not to put a Goblin into play in case he is able to hardcast a Supreme Verdict. I wanna be able to have like another Matron or 2 Ringleaders back, which right now I think I can cast 2 Ringleaders if I draw land. Oh, so close, so close. So opponent drew poorly there. Lands are important to play this game, but thank you so much for watching. It's been Goblin Ringleader. Watching some legacy content. I'm gonna be making another one of these videos. One more, and then any more content that I can get on the channel, just let me know in the comments what you'd like to see. Goblin Ringleader out.